Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. We welcome to ISV Rasika Acharya Prabhu, his wife Bharati Devi Dasi. We also welcome Ananta Dev Prabhu, Lalita Kishori, and Bhaktin Amy, and Dayanand, and also Dhruva Prabhu, who's just come from a tunnel underneath Ahobilam Kshetra. He only stays where Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva stays, so he's come as a special guest to show his book that he wrote, extraordinary book about Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. And we welcome everybody that's come here today for this auspicious occasion of Nṛsiṁha Chaturdashi. And let's welcome our guests. That's right. Let's hear it for the Vaishnavas. We're not shy here about appreciating Vaishnavas. In the beginning of the 7th canto, of course, there's a discussion about whether or not the Lord is equal to everybody. And Shukadeva Goswami teaches his disciple, Parikshit Maharaj, that yes, the Lord is equal to everyone. However, the living entities position themselves differently. And therefore, the Lord, like the sun, gives radiance, nourishment to everybody. But if you go in your house and close all the shades, you don't get any. So similarly, those who situate themselves in the lower modes of nature, mode of darkness, or in the mode of rajas, which is another mode that is very confusing, one can get only very little of the Lord's mercy. But those in the mode of goodness, sattva gun, like the devas, they are in the right position to receive mercy from the Lord. And those who are transcendental to the modes altogether, sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yadiyate tatra puman uphavrita, for them the Lord becomes revealed naturally. And therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives instructions to everyone saying, position yourself properly. It's up to you. It's not it's not my doing that you're in the position that you're in. It's your own, and therefore take responsibility for it and rearrange your life so that you can be in the right position to take the mercy. And of course, Hiranyakashipu is an iconic figure. He represents the greatest attempt to enjoy the material world. If anybody worked hard to get where he is today, or where he was before he came to an auspicious end by being torn asunder by Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, it was Hiranyakashipu. I mean, some people work hard, they go 3 hours each day on the train, one way, and come back the other, and they work 19 hours a day at the office, have a little crust of bread, and maybe some weak tea, and somehow or other they keep going. In Japan it's called gaman. It's almost like come on, but gaman, it means that it doesn't matter what happens to you, keep going until you drop dead. So this is a materialistic idea. Work hard and get some position here in the material world. Maybe a little townhouse somewhere, a couple of trees outside that some people come by and buzz, take care for you. You get to see it every few seconds when you run in and out. Hi, bye, to your plant. And so the demoniac civilization is working hard just to find a soft bed at the mattress factory. Now they have special beds where you can dial in your number so that the mattress fits your particular lifestyle, wherever it may be. Everyone's trying to find a soft bed. Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means soft bed. And he asked the Lord, grant me this boon that I'll never drop dead. Never drop dead, that's what I said. So, there are several chapters in which Hiranyakashipu is positioning himself to get the big payoff, that is to become a big controller. Some people figure out how the material world works, but they have too much optimism, and they don't know that no matter what you get here, Shinye Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, those who acquire pious credits, when they come to a heavenly position, sooner or later the meter runs out. It's a terrible feeling, actually. To be in a good position actually sometimes is worse in the material world than being in a bad position. Because when you're in a bad position, at least you have hope that one day maybe I'll be in a good position. But once you're in a good position, then all you're worried about is losing what you have. And you know it's going to run out. It's like sand running through your fingers. It's like the clock ticking down and you know, I have to go away. And therefore one has to live in denial. And Hiranyakashipu is in such denial that when he met Brahma, who was to give him benediction, he addressed him as the Supreme Lord. He was out of alignment with the universe. However, he knew how to work it for his own angle. Everyone has an angle. When you meet somebody that doesn't have an angle, the other day I asked somebody, what's his angle? He said, he doesn't have an angle. I said, doesn't have an angle? Wow. I have to meet that person who doesn't have an angle. So Hiranyakashipu's angle was to do austerities and get a benediction so that he wouldn't be killed by anybody. And then he could manipulate everyone. This is the idea in the material world. As soon as I get more power, more beauty, somehow position myself, that's my angle, so that I can manipulate others. And I'll be better than others. And people will whisper about me and say, yeah, he's better than others. And that will make me feel really good. And Hiranyakashipu's idea was that it would be an ironclad. And this is evident when he became powerful. He got his benedictions and he started controlling everyone in the universe except for Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and those who were pretending to go along like Narada. And that means the followers of Hiranyakashipu started wrecking everything. That's the other thing demons do. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that the demons have a propensity for wrecking things here in the material world. Wreck the oceans, wreck the forests, wreck the temples, whatever they can, they wreck. That's their job in life, is wreck stuff. So then we come to meet Prahlāda, who is the polar opposite. And Prahlāda Maharaj is unaffected by the circumstances of the material world and also doesn't have any false ego, as his father does. So the story is quite a contrast to teach us a lesson. Prahlāda, the great devotee Prahlāda, lives in this bliss. He's always happy. Even though it seems that he's in the lower position, actually by his devotion to the Lord and his great humility and his compassion for other living entities, he's always happy and always blissful, even though he's in a seemingly bad situation. And his father, even though he positioned himself well, he was never satisfied. And as soon as he got his position, he started his demise. So we find also that in the pastimes of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, there's not that much about Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva. It's mostly about Prahlāda. because the Lord is coming for Prahlāda. And this is a great lesson also. That the Lord goes out of his way for his devotees. And when one has a selfless desire to serve the Lord, Krishna notices it. In fact, we all notice it because we all have that kind of sensitivity. What to speak of Krishna, who has unlimited sensitivity. His sensitivity is everywhere. It's all over the universe. Mine's localized. And I can sense things that come near me and come into my purview. For instance, I can sense if somebody has a motive. Can you do that? Yes. Have you ever noticed that you've talked to somebody, maybe they even gave you a gift, and then you thought, all right, they have a motive. I know why they gave me this. They want something returned. Or did anybody give you something and there was no motive behind it, except for love? They only gave it out of love. How did you feel then? Yeah, but how did you know? Do you have a little motive meter? Every living entity has a little motive meter built in. And Krishna is the biggest motive meter of all. He studies the motive of every living entity everywhere in the world. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshara junatishtiti. Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rujani maya. And he's always looking for the living entity to develop a pure motive. Even one molecule of pure motive, of sincerity, is something that Krishna notices right away and reciprocates with. Of course, he reciprocates with all the motives that we have, and that can be a problem if we have the wrong motive. Because Krishna says, Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. I reward accordingly. And in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7th Canto, 9th chapter, we get a kind of fruit because we hear of the prayers that are coming from Prahlāda's heart. And from those we can learn many, many lessons. The fact that the Lord came to save Prahlāda and to answer his prayers, and hearing the prayers that Prahlāda offered is an important exercise for the devotees, because Prahlāda represents the foundational position from which one can actually enter into devotional service. That is selfless service. As he says to Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, who offers him benedictions, I don't want anything. And he really means it, because Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva had to ask him a few times. And he said, no, take something. And Prahlāda said, no, you're my master, I'm your servant, I serve, you command, and that's what I do. I didn't want anything, please. And so this is a foundational, a point for those who are entering into the realm of bhakti, that I don't want anything in return. This is where one starts to notice the reciprocation of the Lord in a very sweet way. That I'm giving to the Lord without asking anything in return, and that he goes out of his way to give things to such a devotee. So there's many, many lessons we can take, but because we only have a few minutes this morning, we'll look at, first of all, the way in which Prahlāda Maharaj, in his prayers, glorifies sincerity and talks about how important it is. So those who know these prayers, Sutra Malika, do you know these prayers? So that's your next one. He asked me yesterday, I memorized Queen Kunti, I memorized Divinity and Divine Service, Vrishabhadeva, what else? Gajendra Moksha, Bhishmadev, anything else? The Shisha Upanishad. So then he said, which chapter should I do next? 7th Canto, 9th chapter. So this chapter begins in a very sweet way. Going to verse number 6, that's 797. Ashtau Shidharim Ekagra Manasa Susamahita Prema Gudgaraya Vacha Tanyasta Hridayikshana. Prahlāda Maharaj fixed his mind and sight upon Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva with full attention in complete trance, with a fixed mind. He began to offer prayers in love with a faltering voice. Prema Gadgadaya Vacha means, Gadgada is an onomatopoeia for the faltering of voice. It's difficult for him to speak. So this is one of the signs of advancement when one begins to lose one's voice. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing before Lord Jagannath, he was trying to say a Sanskrit verse, but all he could say was Jaja Gagapari Mumu, because he was affected by prema, Jaja Gagapari Mumu, Jaja Gagapari Mumu. And again he would say that. So Prahlāda now is fixed. And Prabhupada's purport, the word susamahita means very attentive or fully fixed. The ability to fix the mind in this way is a result of yoga siddhi, mystical perfection. As it is stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12:13:1, dhyana vastita gatina manasa pashanti yam yogina. One attains yogic perfection when he is freed from all material diversions and his mind is fixed upon the feet of the Lord. Again, I'll read that. One attains yogic perfection when he is freed from all material diversions. Noticed any diversions lately? And his mind is fixed upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Now this is a serious business, because all we really have is our attention. And the freedom we have in this lifetime, this short lifetime, a little portal through which we can, if we play our cards properly, we can come to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the only card we really have to play, the only ace we have, is the decision of where to place our attention. And that's a big deal, because where attention goes, energy flows. And you'll notice anywhere you go in the world, wherever you put your attention, you'll find that there's a reciprocation that comes from the object of your attention. You can look at dull matter, or you can look at other living entities, and you'll see that you're creative in that sense. And that, as Krishna says in the Gita, aparayamitasthanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedam darite jagat. That these little specks of consciousness are animating the universe by their own power, their consciousness. They're moving matter, and they're looking at it, and they're moving it around, making little cities, running around in them, driving around, boom. And so one has an opportunity to get some knowledge and see where to place one's attention properly. Then one will begin to feel proper alignment by putting one's attention in the proper place. Now, in the 11th canto of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as Prabhupada is mentioned here, yoga siddhi. It's a yoga siddhi that he's developed. How is that? Well, Krishna describes to Uddhava that yogis sometimes place their attention. Well, this is actually a technique if you want to become heavier than the heaviest. Who was known for that? Starts with a T. Starts with a T. Trinavarta. Daini, 10 points. Trinavarta was known as the heaviest of the heavy. Of course, Krishna was heavier than him. But there are yogis that are lighter than the lightest. And they can fly around, and they can transport themselves from one place to another. Someone may say, oh, I don't understand how that works. I don't understand how a cell phone works either, but it works. And Jim McMahon, famous quarterback from way back in the old days, said, I get acupuncture for my arm. I don't know how it works or why it works, but it works. So there's stuff that works beyond our knowledge. And yoga siddhis is one of them. But Krishna explains a little bit how it works. He said the yogis merge their consciousness into various elements within the material world, and they take on the same qualities of the elements. Consciousness can do that. In fact, we do it all the time. We're a little, not you, I'm talking about people like me and others in the material world, but those who mingle with material nature, they take on the same quality. You hang around and just watch indiscriminately this or that, then you become an indiscriminate person. You become kind of dull-headed, stupid things come out of your mouth. That's what happens by connecting with in indiscriminate ways. But the yogis, they get a little knowledge and they figure out, I focus my mind in one element and I'll take on the qualities of the element. So they push away everything else and they only focus on one thing. They can focus on water and they can become like fluid, so they can go different places, like air, and they can transport themselves from one planet to the next. And Krishna explains in that section that if one, or Shukadeva goes on to explain that if one meditates on Krishna, then one's never defeated. And those who meditate on Krishna, as is mentioned here, dhyana vastita tadgatina manasa pashanti yam yogina, the devotees have the ultimate knowledge. They know that by meditating on Krishna, then one attains the ultimate happiness and perfection in life. Yo mameva masamudho janati purushottamam sasarvid vid bhajatimam sarvabhavina bharata. We're going to chant that verse in just a little while because we have a grain ceremony coming up. And there, Krishna confirms that those who know how to place their mind on Purushottam, the Supreme Person, they know everything. They have the perfection of life. And those who meditate on Krishna, they also become spiritual. They develop the same qualities that Krishna has. As mentioned in Bhagavatam, where? Which verse? 5:18. 12. And what is the verse? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manonatena sanitavato bihi. Means that those who are dedicated to Krishna, and what that means is they're putting their attention toward Krishna. They say, everything else is inferior. I'll only officially look at other things, but I'll be thinking of them in relationship to Krishna. But my main focus in life is Krishna. And for us, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, we focus our mind there. We dress Krishna, we bring him things, we offer him food. We're always thinking about him, we're singing about him, we bow down to him, all these things. We're focused on Krishna. This is bhakti. Manmara bhavamad bhakto. It's so simple. Just think of me. Place your attention in me. And that's what Prahlāda was doing 24 hours a day. He was only thinking about the Lord, Govinda. And Govinda came in this form of Lord Nṛsiṁhadeva, as is explained in the text of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Ishtadev of Prahlāda Maharaj was Govinda. And when Govinda gets mad, that's what he looks like. Even Lakshmi didn't recognize him. It's like, who is this again? And Brahma and everyone tried to make him, calm down, and they said, we give up, Prahlāda, you try. And they pushed him in. So he began offering these prayers, but he was so much in love with the Lord, he could clearly see who he was, and he knew that he came for him. And so he began offering these prayers in a voice, and his mind was focused fully on the lotus feet of the Lord. This is called samadhi or trance. Prahlāda Maharaj attained that stage beyond the senses. Because he was engaged in service, he felt transcendently situated, and naturally his mind and attention became saturated in transcendence. How did his mind and senses become saturated in transcendence? Because that sounds appealing, doesn't it? Say yes. Yes. So how did his mind and senses become saturated in transcendence? Do you feel saturated in transcendence? Say yes. Yes. You are saturated in transcendence. That's why this is a saturation chamber. You come in, it's like, Govinda, you see the Lord, and you chant his names and the devotees and prasadam, and then you become saturated. And you go out and saturate other people, knock on their doors, ding dong, they wake up. You're saturated. So how is it that Prabhupada says in this sentence he becomes saturated by transcendence? What? Use the microphone. We want to hear. We have a bushel basket of microphones somewhere. An ocean of microphones. Yes.
Because Prahlāda Maharaj was engaged in service.
Okay. Can you give us a verse that would parallel this idea that by engaging your senses in the service of the Lord, Am I giving it all away? Then the senses become purified, and this is called bhakti. Okay, go ahead, Priya Kishori, put her hand up first. That's called utsahan.
I remember the second part. Hishikena Hishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Rachade.
What's that?
Atha Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhave Gayam Indriya
Pretty good.
Evan Mukhi Hijivado Svayam Evas Pratyada.
Very good. I didn't even think of that one. Go ahead and explain it.
So, actually, the verse that I had thought of
No,
was
tell this one. Atashri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Graimin. It means you can't see the Lord by your gross material senses, but over to you.
by chanting Nabhavit, like by using the tongue, engaging the tongue and chanting the holy names of the Lord.
If you start with the tongue, if you start serving with the tongue, Jiva Adhau, start your service there, then?
Swayam eva spuratyada.
Means? The spurati means what? Yeah, you'll be able to see Krishna. He'll manifest himself. He'll show himself to you if you engage your tongue. It's very good. Very good. What else did you have in mind? A way in which you gauge your senses in service, and that brings you to see the Lord. Or to become saturated in transcendence.
Ihayasya harer dasya
Another great
karmana
verse.
samanasagira nikhila swape avastasu jivan muktasu uchyate. When one uses his body, mind and words in the service of Krishna, he becomes liberated.
Okay. Do you all agree with this? Yes. Pundits over here? Okay. Let's keep going. There's a few more, even more coming into my head. What else? What does Rupa Goswami have to say about this, Malini? What does the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, say is the purpose of devotion? Okay, you got your hand up first. Go ahead. Give him a microphone back there. Malini's going to need it in a minute.
Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi navritam anukulena bhaktina
Krishna anu shilanam. Very good. Tell us why you chose that verse.
It talks about pure devotional service.
And what about it?
It's unmotivated and
Okay, good. We'll give you 8.5 points, Malini. Keep going on that. Anyabhilashita shunyam
Jnana karmadhanavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhakti ruchi.
means?
Which means the pure devotional service should be performed, should be unmotivated and uninterrupted.
It has no contamination by jnana and karma. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma jnanavritam. And shunyam, it's free from jnana karma. You don't want anything. You're not trying to renounce anything. You're only...
And it should be favorably performed.
Performance, and what's the performance?
Krishna
Anushilanam. So, Anushilanam. Shil, S-I-L. This is the verb. Shil means to engage the senses, both internally and externally. What's the internal sense? Correct. And the external senses?
Tongue, eyes, ears.
Okay, there's 5 knowledge gathering and 5 working senses. And all these shil means to engage them all in Krishna's service. And then you become saturated. Also, sarvopadi banirmuktam taprapvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam. Yes, so this verse also says, was that what you were going to say? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll give you 5 free points. So it means that if you engage all your senses in Krishna's service, they become purified. And by purified senses, you can understand Krishna. You can become saturated in transcendence by seva. 2 more verses from the Bhagavad Gita only that describe this phenomena, and then we'll move on. We have 2 pundits in the front. Mukharvin and Govinda. Okay, go ahead. Gita.
Maharaj, one is 5.19. This Bhagavad Gita 5.19 that says, Ihav tair jita sargo yesham samme sthitam mana nirdoshami samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthita. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the condition of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman.
Okay, good. Govinda?
Maharaj, I apologize, I don't remember the exact verse, but it goes, the second part goes like this. Sarvdareshu prakasham upajayate.
14th chapter.
So, I think when one is steeped in sattva
14 what? 14:8. Who said that? Who said 14:8 or 9? 8 and 9 or 14:8 or 9? Depends how many points you get, whether you said and or. It's 11. Okay, go ahead. Give us a verse that Govinda started off.
Sarvadvareshu deyasmi prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivriddham sattvatirtha. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, one more. Sundarananda for the finish.
Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vase hi ese indriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. So it says that how one who controls his senses and fixes it upon Krishna, then he's a man of steady intelligence.
Very good. Anything over here? Okay, so we have ample proof that by engaging the senses in Krishna's service, that is the working senses and the knowledge gathering senses and the mind, that one will soon become saturated. One will rise above the modes of material nature, and mamcha yovyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitam brahmabhuya kalpa. That's another verse that proves this. That if you do devotional service, you'll rise above the material nature. It means your senses become transcendentalized, and you're able to come to the level of Brahman and become saturated with transcendental knowledge and happiness. So Prahlad's in this position. So he's qualified to speak. Now, some of the principles that he teaches us, one of them is sincerity. And I was just thinking about that this morning, how some people sign their letters at the bottom, sincerely Frank. What does that mean? It means without wax. Sincere means without wax. Because in previous ages, when people sold marble, the most expensive marble was the ones that didn't have cracks in it. Some unscrupulous business people who would collect marble and then they'd put colored wax in it to make it look like it was perfect marble and sell it for a higher price. And then when a hot day would come, it would all run out. The cracks would be revealed. So I was just thinking, when someone signs their letter, sincerely means that no pretension here. I'm being straightforward, and I'm being vulnerable, and I'm expressing myself sincerely. It's a big word, isn't it? Sincerely. So in the beginning of his prayers, near the beginning, Prahlāda Maharaj talks about the power of sincerity. So that would be verse number 7, 9, 12. And this gives a ray of hope for all those who practice bhakti, because Prahlāda comes, as he says in the very beginning of his prayers, from a demoniac family. And I don't think you could find a family that would be labeled as any more demoniac than Prahlāda's family. In fact, that's what the demigods thought. When he was in the womb of his mother, they thought, well, here comes another one. So they kidnapped the mother and were taking her away until Narada Muni, who knew what was really going on, stopped them and said, no, there's a great devotee in her womb. And they believed him. So they turned her over. And Narada Muni taught the mother, but was teaching Prahlāda within the womb. He was hearing within the womb. So when he was born, then this entire pastime unfolded, and now he's offering us prayers. And in the beginning he says, I'm really unqualified to offer prayers, because the demigods, they know Sanskrit. Brahmadaya suragana munayota siddha satvaikatana gatayo. What is it? Vachasam pravahe. They have streams of excellent words. Vachasam pravahe. Naraditum puraganara. Arunapi pipru kim toshtam arhati same. Harir ugrajate. He says, but I come from a terrible place, a terrible family. And so what am I going to do? What am I going to say? And then he starts analyzing. And he says, what is it? Manye dana bijana rupa tapasya tojas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradanai hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. So then he starts saying, actually, all these qualities that people think are important in the material world, manye, I think, manye dana, all wealth, people have wealth. Anybody think wealth is important in this world? We no longer have a democracy. Officially, we have a plutocracy. No, it's really true. It's different from a democracy. The plutocracy means if you have money, then you can take a political position. You can't win a political office without money these days. It's out in the open. People say it all the time. How much money can they raise? That's how good of a candidate they are. So money is a big deal inside. You can get power. Manye dana bijana rupa tapau shitojas. You have beauty, opulence, bodily strength, and all these things. And Prahlāda says, these things, I don't think the Lord's impressed by them. I don't think he's impressed by all these things. And then he remembers someone who impressed the Lord, and it gave him great strength, because he's getting ready to offer prayers, and he starts off by saying, what am I going to say? I'm just a kid, and I come from, my father's a demon, and all these demigods, they already offered their prayers. And then he starts thinking, well, actually, I think the Lord doesn't care so much about excellent words. And he says, Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. He says, but Gajendra, he remembers an elephant. Gajendra was an elephant. Prabhupada says, maybe big fatty animal, but Gajendra, with his sincerity, he pleased the Lord. I mean, what does it sound like when an elephant offers prayers anyway? I mean, we don't know exactly. We have the recording in Sanskrit, but I don't know what the sound was like when Gajendra said it. He's got a big elephant tongue. And so he said these things, but because he was sincere, even though he was in a troubled situation, so he's calling out for the Lord for help, bhaktya tutosha, he pleased the Lord by his bhakti. There was bhakti in there, definitely. Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. He was the king of the elephants, and Prahlāda remembers he pleased the Lord. So he said, therefore I'm going to try. And then he goes on to say that if somebody vipradvishad gunayatara ravindanaba padara vindam vimukachvapacham varishtam manye tadarpita mano vachanarti harta pranam punati sakulam natubudimana. So he's saying now that even if somebody's a brahmana, and they have all the qualities that are in the special book called Sanatsujata that describes what a Brahman's supposed to be like, all the ways that he washes his cloth, and he faces in the right direction, he does everything correctly. That Prahlāda says, that person, if he's not a bhakti, if he doesn't have that bhakti, then he's not considered. In fact, if he's against the Lord, then he's not as good as a dog eater or a dog cooker. Somebody who cooks and eats dogs but has devotion for the Lord. At least Prahlāda says that such a person who comes from a very low background, eating dogs, if they get some bhakti, then that person can purify not only himself but also his whole family can become purified by that. So then there's one more verse before that in which the Lord says that, or Prahlāda says that It's not for the Lord's benefit that we offer anything, but it's for our benefit. When we give to the Lord, then we become benefited. And then he says, what did I say? Verse number 12. He says, therefore, although I was born in a demoniac family, I may without a doubt offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor as far as my intelligence allows. How far does your intelligence allow? See, that's the answer the devotees give. Not so far. What can I do? Everyone feels like that, right? To some degree. Well, devotees all like, what can I do? What can I say? I don't know anything. In fact, oftentimes, someone will be asked to speak and say, I can't say anything. What should I say? Anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's glories. So in this verse, he's saying that I don't have any qualification. What can I say? He said, but if you just try, you just do the best you can with what you have right now, and you try to glorify Krishna, even you can't say it very well, because you have sincerity. He says it'll be effective. So this is his conclusion at the very beginning. This is what inspires him to go ahead and do this, to make the prayers. So here's Prabhupada's purport. It is clearly understood that a devotee does not need to be born in a very high family, to be rich, to be aristocratic, or to be very beautiful. None of these qualifications will engage one in devotional service. With devotion, one should feel God is great and I am very small. Therefore, my duty is to offer my prayers to the Lord. Only on this basis can one understand and render service to the Lord. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, are you getting all this? Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha tatumam tattvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus Prahlāda Maharaj decided to offer his best prayers to the Lord without consideration of his material position. So, sincerity. This is one of the lessons that Prahlāda teaches us very clearly in his prayers. And there are several other qualities. Another is compassion. Another is to be the servant of the servant. Another is to be afraid of Maya. Another is to be observant of the world. So, and there are others, but these are some of the ones that we can talk about today, but not for very long because we're almost out of time. So we'll take a few reflections, anything that you heard so far that stuck. Yes. Somewhere there's an ocean of microphones.
Hare Krishna. You mentioned, Maharaj, that Prahlāda Maharaj had the quality or desire of selfless service. He didn't need anything, service for service. So that was a good highlight.
Yeah, that'll get you noticed by the Lord. If you do service for service, no matter who you are, where you are, what you think your disqualifications are, if you just try and you do service to try to please the Lord, He'll notice you. He's watching everybody. The Lord's far away, but He's very near as well. How can we confirm that? With what verse? Give him a microphone. There's 10 more mics somewhere. Where are they? Okay.
I think it's Tad Ajati, Tad Naijati.
Don't say, I believe it is. Sit up straight and belt it out. If you're wrong, go down in flames. Don't. You got to be bold when you quote verses. Just assert it like it's like that's the one. Go ahead.
Tad Ajati, Tad Naijati, Tad Re, Tad Yuvantike, Tad Antar Asya Sarvasya, Tadu Sarvasya Bhayataha.
Well done. Very good. Excellent. We have pundits. That's why they sit over here. Yeah, Lord's far away, but He's very near as well. He's the nearest to us. He's always observing what our mentality is. Well done. Okay, yes, you have a point. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Towards the beginning of the class, you mentioned positioning, and I found that point very interesting, that Hiranyakashipu had proven it to everyone who could ever exist from then till forever, how far one can go up in their positioning strategy, and they could still fail miserably if they don't understand that the Lord is showering sunshine and rain equally across the universe, but it's our choice where we position ourselves.
Yeah, he had a certain kind of branding, right? Positioned himself to be the biggest road hog in the world. Biggest ball hog, just taking over everything. And his brand didn't work out very well. There was a hostile takeover.
I was thinking about the motive part.
About the what? Motive.
Motive. So I was having a conversation with Ramansaka Prabhu one day, and then he was telling me that Krishna is the Paramatma in our heart. And so, at the end of the day, whatever I do, I might be a leader, I might be a servant, whatever I do, whatever I show off, but the most important thing is what I think, which is what Krishna really knows, So it's just when I connected it to the motive part that you were mentioning, there are times that I totally forget that part, and I just go with my false ego. But the times when I suddenly stop and think, what was that I was doing? I was trying to please my false ego, or I was trying to really, what was my motive behind it? So I think it has really helped, just be conscious, really Krishna conscious of the moments that I do, and a lot of choices that I would make otherwise, I change it because I'm sure that Krishna is not happy with it. Even if I do one little service, it doesn't matter whether I have satisfied my false ego, or if I do one little service with sincerity, Krishna's happy. So it's just remembering that. Thank you.
Does everyone agree that there is such a thing as motive? Yes. What does it look like? Does it have shape? Yes? No? Then how do you know it exists? I mean, what does it look like? It's like a cake? Or a hammer? Does it smell? I mean, is it odoriferous? What is the size and shape of a motive?
It's a thought.
You say it exists, but you can't see it, right? It's very interesting because motive is the most important aspect of our existence. For instance, in law, as I've said many times in this class, in Commonwealth law, there's a way in which motive is considered above everything. If your motive was to kill somebody, you thought it up and did it, you bought duct tape and followed them around, and you had your GPS set to their house, then it's a capital crime. You'll be executed. If you accidentally ran them over because the lights went out and they stepped out in front of your car, the motive wasn't there, and therefore the punishment is significantly less. So one might say, well, prove there is a motive anyway. Scientifically prove there's motive. Well, these are the most tangible things. Like some people say faith is something that's anti-scientific. So then you have to say motive is also. And however, these are the most substantial. These are what move the world. And motive is something that we look for in all of our activities. And as you're saying, for the practitioner of bhakti, he or she is looking inside and seeing, what is my motive, and studying it, so that I don't, it isn't appropriated by the false ego. Because I can do some service for the Lord, and doing it nicely, and then the false ego comes along and says, I'll take that, and present it to the world, just see. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The point that you said about our only focus should be Krishna. Officially, we might be doing so many other things, but we should remember and focus on Krishna. I was relating that to whatever I've been doing last few weeks. It's like, officially it's like allocating rooms, allocating hotels and booking this. Externally, there is no...
That must mean Sadhu Sanga's coming up.
I was just thinking that externally, it's not related to Krishna directly. I don't remember Krishna explicitly, but I was telling myself that I should remember this is for service to Krishna's devotees. So we should remember that and not forget that.
Yeah. And as we move about the world, and we have to, as Arjuna, Krishna gives this instruction to Arjuna in the beginning of the 8th chapter. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmarayujacha mayarpita manobudhir mami vaishyasya samshayaha. That do your work and remember me. And then Prabhupada tells how it's possible. If you chant Hare Krishna, the mantra is so powerful. It gives us everything. And if you chant Hare Krishna, do your 16 rounds with full diligence, then when you do the rest of your work, you'll be blissful and you'll see the connection to Krishna everywhere. That's what Prabhupada says. Just do your work and chant Hare Krishna side by side, and it'll all work out. Very good. Yes. Vaisesika was right behind you. There's 9 more people and 9 minutes left, so.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. The point is so exactly about attention. So there is only one card that we can play, it's attention. And where attention goes, that energy flows. And for me I was very thinking a lot recent days about what is free will. Like where is it? How to apply it? Where is my karma? Where is influenced by different planets? And this is where is it? But this is very exact point. So just now we'll focus on that and see where I can put my attention effectively.
It's very practical too. I had experienced recently. I was at some meetings in Mayapur, and we were on a break. And boy, did I need a break! And I was sitting there, and there's a area where you can sit and relax. They have snacks and all kinds of stuff. So I was just sitting there minding my own business, and a very enthusiastic devotee came and sat next to me, and then wanted to tell me about some project he was doing, just what I wanted to hear at that time. And that's what my contaminated mind thought. And so then I realized when he sat down next to me, I can be a jerk and not pay attention to him, or I can give him my full attention. And so I decided, I was willful, I said, I'm going to give him my full attention because that'll feel much better. So he was sitting next to me, and I turned my chair around and I faced him. I looked right at him, and he's like, what? No one's ever paid this much attention to me before. He was startled. He was like, wow, you turned around, you're listening to me with full attention? He completely noticed it. And then, everything began pouring out of him because wow. And we became best friends right after that. Because he was like, somebody likes me out there. If you give your attention to any living entity, full attention with no motive, you just think, okay, there's another living entity, they're valuable, I'm going to give my attention because I don't have any way out. So here I go. And you can give your full attention, you'll start to feel good. And you'll notice that the whole world opens up, through that, where attention goes, energy flows. Yes. Who was next? Yes.
I was thinking Prahlāda Maharaj's mood that he is thinking that don't have the intelligence, how can I pray? But still he, in humble mood, he can pray. In Bhagavad Gita, tesham shatato yukta nam bhajantam priti purvakam dadati bhakti yogantam yenimam. Just if we are involved in with priti, with love and devotion, Krishna will give the intelligence. And I recall my experience when I came and went to Sankirtan. I was hesitant. No, I cannot glorify SB. I will just carry books. But when I see devotees slowly, little get motivated and start. So yeah, it's when we desire to do little service, Krishna sometimes gives intelligence, of course, through his devotees. Thank you.
That's a nice point you made too, because if you go in Sankirtan, let's say book distribution, and you think I don't know what to say. But then you just try anyway. You think, I'll just be sincere and I'll try to present. And who was it the other day? When we went down to Market and Pal, Navina Prabhu gave an excellent class in the morning. He said, okay, it doesn't matter even if you go out and you don't even do anything. You just go stand there on the street corner with a book. He says, in 1 hour, someone will come up to you and say, hey, give me that book. Who was on our team? Somebody, and was it, Anyway, one of the devotees on our team reported when we got back in the car and we were driving home, she said, I was standing there and I wasn't talking to anybody, and this lady came up to me and said, is that the Bhagavad Gita? I said, yeah, I've been looking for that. Anyway, if one simply puts oneself out there and just does the best that one can, is oftentimes we don't do what we can do because we think that we have to do much more. So don't hesitate to do what you can do just because you can't do everything that you think you have to do. As that's the power, Krishna will support you. Tesham satata yuktanam. Nice quotation. Yes.
I just wanted to comment what he said. He used to carry books, we used to talk Prabhu. Now we carry books, he talks.
Oh, just see.
So he's become like the master.
Yeah, it's very similar to this opening passage that, what can I say? I can't do anything. And this, and now offering beautiful prayers, right? And everybody can do it. And the going out and teaching others about Krishna consciousness, this is the most beautiful kind of prayer that you're doing. You're going out and saying on behalf of Krishna, you're saying it's this. And Prabhupada emphasized that again and again. He would point to Saraswati, Malati's daughter, and say, see, she can do it. She's going around telling people, you know who Krishna is? You know who he is? Say no. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada said, that's good. This is what she can do. That's very good. This is good, excellent preaching. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Actually, it was happening for the last 1 week. I was thinking that why I need to do chanting. Earlier I was doing some good amount of chanting, but it reduced. I was thinking nothing happened with me, so why should I do chanting? So today I realized that it was the attention that was missing. So I was not paying attention, that is why it was not working. So it is a kind of, I got to know that attention is very important, and it is similar to a Vaisesika Labdva, means I got that knowledge which was there, but I had forgotten, and then it's a motivation for me today.
It's practically, we could say it's everything. Your attention is everything. Where you place your attention, that's everything, because that's all you have. What else are you going to give except your attention? You agree to put your attention in a certain place. And if all you do is agree to put your attention on the holy name, study up on it, find out Krishna and his name are non-different. And that it's recommended, the most recommended process, chant Hare Krishna, and say, okay, based on that, I believe it, that's where I'm going to put my attention now. And so you vote with your attention. And when you vote in that way, then Krishna will reciprocate. Thank you for reminding us. That's a good point. And Bali Mardan. And then Mukharvind for the close. So better be good.
Happy Nṛsiṁha Dasa to you.
Thank you. Happy Nṛsiṁha Chaturdashi to you too.
To all of you. Okay. So I think in the beginning you mentioned about Prahlāda Maharaj, that how Prahlāda Maharaj has been glorified at the end, Nṛsiṁhadeva. So I was listening to one lecture in Prabhupada's lecture. I wanted to listen Radhastami lecture. But Prabhupada goes on talking about Krishna, 90% of at the end. Therefore, Radharani is attracted to Krishna. That was the only thing he said in the Radhastami. So because I wanted, so you said, therefore, Nṛsiṁhadeva only appeared to protect him.
Thank you, Bali. Thanks for backing me up. Okay.
One online comment and one, I like the word that you told, gaman, the Japanese word.
Yeah.
That's very nice. That summarizes many people in the material world. And actually, we have online comment from Sadhana Mataji. Says, after attending your class, he's telling attention is everything would be a good topic too for Intel.
Good topic for Intel. Yeah, that's right. It's a topic that we're actually working on about attention. It's something that is so practical and it's so available to us, but it's what I've lost. I've lost my attention, and it goes everywhere. We heard earlier about distraction, right? Didn't we? Didn't I read something about what? Diversion. Diversion. Look it up real quick. That sounds important. Diversion. It means it's going off the track somehow. You're diverted. Inverted, exverted, diverted. There's a lot of verteds. It must mean something about... Go ahead.
An instance of turning something aside from its course. For example, a diversion of resources from defense to civil research. And number 2, an activity that diverts the mind from tedious or serious concerns. A recreation or pastime. And the origin is late Middle English, from the Latin divergio and from the Latin divertere, which means to turn aside.
Does it divide the word?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So, yeah, diversions. And yoga means really to eliminate the diversions. What?
I know, but when I look up the word divert, then,
Yes.
then it bisects that
Okay,
word.
good.
It says that the origin of the word divert is from late Middle English via French, from Latin. There's a lot of diversion there. Divertere. From
Divertere.
die, which means aside, and vertere means to turn.
So turn aside.
Yeah, turn aside.
Divertere. Yeah. So this is the entire problem. And that's summarized in the 11th canto. Bhayam dvitya abhinibheshatasyad ishad apetasya viparyo smriti. Then the solution, maya, what is it? Bhayam dvitya abhinibheshatasyad ishad apetasya viparyo smriti. Tanmaya tam buddha abhajatam bhaktyaika yesham gurudeva tatma. So it says the problem is you've diverted your attention away from Krishna. That's it. And then it says the solution, turn your attention back to Krishna. It's sum and substance of yoga. Just turn your attention back to yoga. And all the bhakti practice that we do is for bringing our attention back to Krishna's lotus feet, just as Prahlāda Maharaj is teaching us.